friends, it's Ms Jemika, and today I am going to talk to you guys about inclusiveness. And that might be a new or funny word for some of you. But inclusiveness means that we show kindness to others by including them in the things that we are doing. So we can show inclusiveness by including everyone in activities at the club, inviting other kids to come and play with you or join in with you, and making room for someone to sit with you. And there are so many other ways that you can show inclusiveness. In order to be really good at showing inclusiveness, we need to practice empathy. And empathy means that we can understand what another person is feeling or going through because we have had similar experiences to them. This means we can identify with someone else's emotions such as joy, sadness, anger, or fear. Have you guys ever been left out of something? Well, I have been left out before, and it does not feel good at all. It made me feel really sad and lonely. So we can use our own experiences to give us a guess about how someone else may be feeling. When we see people being left out or excluded and we feel empathy for them, we feel that same disappointment and loneliness and sadness that they are feeling. And that should drive us to do something to help them feel better and to include them because we remember what it felt like to be left out and we don't want anyone else to have to experience that. So, inclusiveness is an action word because it is something that we have to do. So today we are going to listen to a story about a boy who was excluded at school and left out by his classmates. And this story is called The Invisible Boy.
Can you see Brian, the invisible boy? Even Mrs. Carlotti has trouble noticing him in her classroom. She's too busy dealing with Nathan and Sophie. Nathan has problems with what Mrs. Carlotti calls volume control. He uses his outside voice inside too much. Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her way. Nathan and Sophie take up a lot of space. Brian doesn't. When the bell rings for recess, Micah and JT take turns choosing kids for their kickball teams. The best players get picked first. Then, the best friends of the best players. Then, the friends of the best friends. Only Brian is left, still waiting and hoping. JT glances in Brian's direction and just as quickly looks away. We've got enough players for each team, he tells the others. Let's play ball. In the cafeteria, Madison and her friends talk about her birthday party. The rope swing over the pool was awesome, says JT. Yeah, so was the water slide, adds Fiona. That was the best pool party ever. I'm so glad you guys had fun, said Madison. Everybody had fun. Everybody did except Brian. He wasn't invited.
So, what kinds of things did you guys notice happening to Brian at school that made him feel invisible? I noticed that the teacher was busy with other kids. No one picked him to play on the teams at recess. He isn't invited to the birthday party. And everyone is laughing and having fun but him. And how do you guys think Brian feels when he is invisible to other people? He might feel sad, disappointed, angry, or lonely.
At choosing time, while the other kids play board games and read, Brian sits at his table, doing what he loves to do best. He draws fire-breathing dragons scaling tall buildings, and space aliens locked in intergalactic battles, greedy pirates digging for treasure, and superheroes with the power to make friends wherever they go. On Monday morning, Mrs. Carlotti introduces Justin, a new student, to the class. Brian smiles shyly at him. Some of the other kids sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he's cool enough to be their friend. They haven't quite made up their minds yet. At lunch, Madison and JT watch Justin eat with chopsticks. What's that? Asked Madison. as she points at Justin's food. And all the kids laugh. All of them. That is, except Brian. He sits there wondering which is worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible.
So I noticed that the class was being unkind to the new student Justin when they laughed at the lunch that he brought to school. And Brian showed kindness to Justin by writing Justin a note that said he thought that the lunch he brought looked good. And Justin responded to the note that Brian wrote by thanking Brian and complimenting him on the drawings that he was doing at recess time. And you guys can see how Brian's kind act inspired Justin to be kind in return.
The next day, when Justin goes to his cubby to put away his backpack, he notices a piece of paper with his name on it. Justin, I thought the bulgogi looked good. Brian. At morning recess, Brian finds a piece of chalk on the ground and starts drawing away. You're Brian, right? Yeah. Thanks for the note. Hey, Justin, Emilio calls out from the tetherball court. You're up next. Sorry, I gotta go, says Justin. By the way, that's a really cool drawing, he adds, before taking off. Back in class, Mrs. Carlotti asks the kids to team up in twos or threes for a special project. The kids scurry around the room to pair off. Brian heads towards Justin. I'm already with Justin, says Emilio. Find someone else. Brian looks at the floor, wishing he could draw a hole right there to swallow him up. Mrs. Carlotti said we can have up to 3 people in our group. We are only 2. Come on, Emilio. Let him work with us. Okay, I guess.
So, what are you guys noticing about Brian on this page? I noticed that Brian has been black and white in all the pictures. And on this page, Justin is including him in their project and has a hand on Brian's shoulder. And some of Brian's color is starting to come back and he is starting to look less invisible. And what do you think that means Brian is feeling? I think Brian's starting to feel good because he's finally being included.
Mrs. Carlotti gives the class directions for the project. Your assignment is to work together to write a story about what you see in that photograph. Use your imagination and have fun. Whoa, cool, says Emilio. What kind of people do you think live in houses like that? I don't know, but I bet Brian could draw them to go with our story, says Justin. Brian takes out his lucky pen.
So on this page, it looks like to me that Brian, Justin, and Emilio are working together on their project and giving a presentation, and they are working as a team and they are happy. And I noticed that Brian is in full color now.
It's lunchtime again, Brian's least favorite part of the day. Another 20 long minutes of kids talking and laughing with everyone else but him. Brian! He hears someone shout. Hey, Brian, over here! Brian turns and sees Justin waving him over. Emilio nods at Brian as he makes room for him at the table. Maybe, just maybe, Brian's not so invisible after all.
So why do you guys think Brian felt not so invisible after all at the end of the book? I think it's because he was finally being included. He had someone to sit with at lunch. Justin was being a kind friend, and other people were starting to be kind too. Also, I noticed that Justin's kind acts inspire others to be kind to Brian. Like Emilio sits with Brian at lunch and worked on a project with Brian. And so maybe other kids will start to notice Emilio and Brian and Justin's kindness toward Brian, and they will start including Brian at recess and inviting him to parties too. So, whenever you guys notice someone being left out or excluded, I want you guys to stop and brainstorm ways that you can change the situation so that that person is included. And remember, inclusiveness is an action word. So it requires that you start to do something to make sure people feel included. So spend some time thinking about ways that you can be a good includer. And sometimes it can be kind of tricky figuring out how to include people. or you might not be sure if someone is feeling excluded or not. So you can always ask an adult to help you, or you can just ask the person that you are wondering about how they are feeling. And if that person is feeling invisible, help them to know that you see them by including them. So I want you guys to comment down below and tell us some of your ideas about how to include others or ways you wish that your friends would include you. Make sure you comment with your first and last name and school so that we can know who you are. I also want to remind you guys that there is just 2 weeks left in the kindness challenge. So keep letting us know about all the kind things you guys are doing using the hashtag BGCComo Kindness Challenge. And remember, the more kind things you do, the better chance you have at winning the prize. And I will talk to you guys next Thursday. Bye.